Hi there, and I want to start this off with a quote from Alan Moore. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to read this here verbatim, and I've got the book here just to make sure. In comics, the reader is in complete control of the experience. They can read it at their own pace, and if there's a piece of dialogue that seems to echo something a few pages back, they can flip back and check it out. Whereas the audience for a film is being dragged through the experience at the speed of 24 frames per second. Alan Moore. More than pretty much any other medium, the comic medium is truly revolutionary in the way that you can experience it. It is that way station between cinema and classic literature. And oftentimes, comics get to be considered just a superhero comic or just the something that kids would read in the funny pages back in the day. Now it has long since superseded that medium. Um, Comic films are some of the biggest films of all time. They had around 3%, and now, as of 2021, actually, the percentage of comic book films in mainstream medium is actually 31%. And not all of those are what you think they are. When I say comic book movie, you're automatically probably going to think of something along the lines of The Avengers, or maybe Batman, or Superman, or a Spider Man film. You're probably not going to think of movies like Road to Perdition, for instance, or History of Violence, which are also based on the comic medium. They're on the graphic novel. Graphic novel was something created by Will Eisner back in the day with a contract of God. Anyway, why am I talking about this? Why are we getting into all this? Because I was sent by a company here one of the best books I've read in a very, very long time. I literally got home today. So just to put this into perspective, I was traveling to Newfoundland to see my family. I went there. I traveled to see my dad. I traveled up to see my mom. I went all across Newfoundland. I came back on a boat, a 14 or 15-hour boat ride, and I was exhausted when I got here. The last thing I thought I was going to do was sit down and read. I was going to do this over the next couple of days. And I opened up this book and I went upstairs. I said, okay, I'm going to go take a nap. I'll read a couple pages. I'm going to take a nap. And I ended up diving through the entire thing in a way that even impressed my better half. Now, this is by Dave McDonald, and the name of the book is The Anatomy of Comics. It is an incredible piece of work, and I was sent this by Flammarion Publishing, and I want to give a shout out there because they did send me this book. I want to be straight up and honest with that, but I had no idea that I was going to get this sucked in to the book the way that I did. So Damien is a comic producer himself. So he did, as he mentioned on the back of here, he's a comic author and curator who adapted Victor Hugo's Hunchback of Notre Dame as a graphic novel. His work has been shown in museums and galleries in France, Norway, Belgium, China, and Monaco. And what's really cool about this isn't what I thought it was going to be when I initially went into this. This here is basically this is like a reference guide. And I want to say that in the best possible way. This is not a boring, dry read. Uh, this truly celebrates the comics from anywhere from Tarzan to Pif, the French character, right? It's Pif, right? I got my better half. So if I get a word wrong from a different language, my better half, who is actually speaks more of the languages than me, she can actually tell me when I get it wrong. So this dives into everything. And just to read you there the basic press release, and I'm going to do that before I get into my actual review of this, is basically, and I'll tell you if I agree, a critical reference. This volume is a celebration of characters who have accompanied readers from their first phrase into reading through adolescence and onto adulthood, from Tarzan to Tintin, Little Nemo to Betty Boop, Fantastic Four to Batman, Silver Surfer to Sin City, and the underground comics of Robert Crumb. And it goes in, but what it really deals with here, and I don't think it gave enough credit to in that, and right there is that this deals with like comics and art from all across the spectrum, from all across, whether it's North American, if it's French, if it's Belgium, if it's Argentinian, it deals with it, and it deals with all the important places along the way. It goes into some very, you get some great illustrations all throughout here, some amazing stuff that I have to that I got to show you. I just, there's some of these here I have to. I don't want to show you too much, but I want to show you some. And there's times when they'll stop and like that quote that I just read you from Alan Moore. There's some really important quotes that come through the book, and they'll have chapters and they'll focus on certain people. But here is a picture from Hergé, uh, who of course did the famous Tintin book, or as my better half says, Tantan. Tantan. So, but and you get to like really see the history of there. You got people like Charles Schultz's Peanuts, and dives into the early stuff. Uh, we get to see things from Gasoline Alley, and but it doesn't stick with North American. Like I said, there's Pief there. We've got Asterix, which is of course is a French one. The basically the people Belgium is it Belgium? See, Hercule Poirot will be very upset with me right now. But it is gorgeous. We have stuff here from Milo Manara, who is incredible and an artist that I grew up like really enjoying, really loving. See, I grew up reading Heavy Metal magazine, and my better half read the French equivalent, the first one actually. Heavy Metal was second. It was originally called Metal Hurlant, and that was that's what you read, right? You read like collections, like her dad would get like collections of these stories, actually hardcover collections that she'd be able to read in the library way before she was probably old enough to be reading Metal Hurlant stories. Because if you ever read anything by Richard Corbin or Mobius or any of those guys, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The shine the spotlight on people like John Buscema, who was one of the if you know guys know I'm a huge Conan fan. He's he's a big Conan guy. They really deal with a lot of different things, and some of this Alan Moore is one of the most quotable authors, like like hands down. Like this is one that stuck out at me right away. It was like the great thing about Batman and Superman and Truth is that they are literally transcendent. They are better than most of the stories they're in, and yeah, this is utterly fascinating. So I sat, like I mentioned before, I sat down, I was going to take a nap, and instead I read through this entire book. And I will read through this again. And to the point, like, to be honest with you, that my better half has taken a look at the book, and this is something that she wants to read as well. Now I know I'm gonna be mentioning this in a live video as well, because I want to make sure that as many people as possible get get really look at what's done here, because this is fantastic. We got us diving into cosmic consciousness with Mobius and Alejandro Jodorowsky, the filmmaker, the guy that they were going to make Dune. If you ever saw Jodorowsky's Dune, then you're going to want to pick up this book to see some stuff here. We got stuff from oh God, this is one you know. Egyptian gods and the invention of chess boxing. Inki Bilal. Bilal. There you go. See, I got my fact checker here, which is one that you used to tell me about all the time before.
Yeah, it's La Foire aux Immortels. I think that's the name of.
And doesn't that that's like a very Sandman esque look to it? This panel right here. I just got finished reading watching the Sandman.
Is an amazing artist. Yeah.
But they dive into everything here, like not just pictures. They go into different aspects of this. They go into underground comics. They go into the kind of the history of the comic medium. They go into the different no, I won't say politics, but philosophical studies of from different comic artists and how they do it. And by the way, I did not know till today that John Buscema's real name is Giovanni Natale Buscemi. That is something that I learned today, and I've been a huge fan of him for years. The show Ambrose here, who and Jesus Blasco, who did the Steel Claw, which has a very creepy, eerie type of vibe to it. There was like a series of comics by Warren Publishing that were creepy and eerie and vampirilla, and they brought in a lot of comic artists from different countries. Gave them like a start in a North American medium. It was so different and so amazing, and you get to see a bit of that here as well. This is probably one of the best books on the medium that I've read in a long time. It deals with Will Eisner here. It talks about the creation of the first graphic novel. I feel like I'm gushing, and I want to give like a good overall review. We even see like Bernie Wrightson. There's a beautiful picture of Uncle Creepy by Bernie Wrightson, which I really want to show you guys. Now, I don't want to show you too much though, because this is something that is coming out in September. I'm just going to see if I can see the date. So this is, they don't say the publication date for the day, but this is coming out in September of this year. So next month, you'll be able to pick this up at your local bookstore, or you can actually go and pre-order it on Amazon, and I'm going to recommend that you do. If you at all like anything about like not just the comic medium, but of like history of art, then you're going to want to read this book. You're going to want to check out what's in here, because what's in here blew my freaking mind. And so after a 14-hour boat trip, I decided, nope, I'm not going to sleep. I'm going to read. This here, by the way, is a very famous cover, and if you want to know where it's from, because there's a few places that this is actually from, then you're going to have to read the book. But I was like, I know this picture. I really know this picture. Where's it from? And when it got to the point in the book where they talk about where this picture's from, I was like, oh, of course. Why did I not remember that? There's so much here to dive into. Beautiful work from Joe Kubert. Just dealing with Hergé, with so many of the people all across the world that that worked in comic. They even like do a little neat thing about like how Isaac Newton became like a running gag in French comic books. So there you go. Anatomy of Comics. Would I recommend it? 1,000,000%. This is a fantastic book. It kept a super tired me reading till the very last page, and even right now, I'm looking back and diving into this again. And I think you're gonna read, aren't you?
Oh yes.
Yeah. So this is. She won't read everything she won't read a lot of what I read, but this is a recommendation from both me and my better half. Anatomy of Comics. It's a fantastic read, a gorgeous book, and it'll look amazing both on your shelf and just trust me. After reading this book, if you got friends that are into the comic medium, or that just like to talk about ideas, philosophy, stuff like that, or art, this is going to create a lot of conversations, and it already has. We were upstairs, and my better half was just finishing off. She just finished off her workday, and I was bringing some stuff downstairs for her, and so we got to talking about something within the book itself. And so I'm like carrying like a bunch of things ready to go downstairs, but I'm talking and she's talking. It's going back and forth, and that's the kind of experience that I think you're going to get. It's going to be something that not just sticks with you, but something that you're going to utilize in conversations down the road. Going to make you look smarter. I'm just telling you right now. And there you go. Look, the lights have gone out, and I think it's time for me to end this one here. But thank you so much for joining me here in the call to reading, and I'll see you next time.
If there are any links, you should provide them in the description.
Yeah, there will be links into this. I'm going to be looking to see if there's links in the description down below, and if there are any links, check them out down there, and pick up a copy yourself, because I am going to definitely be talking about this book again. I will see you soon.